Hi guys, and welcome to my channel. Thank you so much for tuning in. Today I have for you a review of some of the products of the new line by Rihanna, Fenty Beauty, and I'm super excited to try these out. I did head to Harvey Nichols a couple of times to actually get my hands on them, but the queues were insane, so I ended up ordering stuff online and it's finally come today. So I thought I would share my fast impressions with you, and I've also added in there a Chanel product that I got from their new collection, which is one of their cream shadows, which I've always wanted to try and I never tried before. So without further ado, let's get straight into this video. But before that, don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you already haven't. I upload it twice a week and I would love to have you back on the channel. And also don't forget to hit that little bell right next to the subscribe button so that you get a notification every time I upload a new video. Okay guys, so a bit of a strange look right now. I've left on a little bit of my eye makeup, but I've removed everything from my face and I just have a little bit of moisturizer on because we're going to try on Rihanna's foundation. So I thought I would leave on this so that I look alive. I left my brows on because she doesn't have any brow products or any eyeliner. But we're going to do everything else from her line. So first I'm going to start everything off with this primer, and it's the Pro Filt'r Instant Retouch Primer. And I've had so many wonderful things about this. Firstly, I really love the packaging. It's got like a graffiti kind of feel to it. And this one is in a very soft, kind of very baby pink, kind of nudie as well, but it's really, really nice. And the packaging seems really luxurious. I really like it. It's in like, again, a very nudish pink, and it's in a matte kind of finish, the glass. It feels really heavy, really luxurious, and it's not too bulky, even though it feels really good quality. I really, really love the color of the packaging of this one. And it feels kind of quite clinical and clean as well, which I quite like. Like, I do like the kind of Estee Lauder really kind of gold packaging. I think it looks amazing. But I also really like this kind of more modern feel, and I think it really fits with the kind of audience Rihanna's targeting. So I'm going to take a little bit of this in my hand. And it comes out, it's like a very soft kind of beigey pinkish cream. I'm just going to dot this all over my face, and I'm going to apply it all over, even though I don't really use primers most of the time. I've had such great things about this that I thought I would give it a go. It doesn't feel silicone-y, it feels really hydrating, but it does set and leave a kind of smooth finish to the skin, but nothing too kind of velvety either. It feels more like a moisturizer than anything else. It is scented, but it's not too heavily scented. It has a kind of bit of a sweet vanilla scent, I would say. It smells like candy, really. But it's not too intense. So even if you don't like scented products, I don't think this would bother you. Okay, on first impressions, it literally just feels like I've applied some moisturizer on my face. It doesn't kind of feel sticky or velvety, but it has taken down the shine on my skin quite a lot. I don't know how well the camera's picking that up, but definitely my skin looks quite matte when I'm looking at it in the mirror. But it still looks kind of alive, like I don't look like I'm wearing a mask. But yeah, that feels really nice, and I'm not a huge fan of primers normally, so you know that most of the time I don't wear anything under my foundation, but I'm interested to see if this actually makes it last longer. Okay, I'm going to go in with foundation now, and I've chosen the colour 280, and I'm not sure because I chose this online, and choosing foundations online I think is always a disaster, but we'll see how this fits my skin. Basically, the range has come out with 40 foundation colours, and I think that's wonderful because it's meant to match like from the lightest, palest skin tone to the deepest skin tone, and I think that's so great, and I think it's so ambitious for a brand that's just launched to come out with 40 shades of foundation. I think it's so amazing that she's focused more on that rather than launching a whole bunch of products and then only having it, you know, fit a few skin shades. So I think it's super brave of her to have launched with 40 shades of foundation, but it's so great that the brand is so inclusive. This foundation is meant to have like a soft matte finish. It's meant to be oil free, and it's supposed to not clog pores. It's supposed to be sweat resistant, water resistant, so great for kind of all weather conditions, and it's meant to kind of enhance rather than mask your features. So let's see how this fares. I'm normally not a fan of matte foundations, so we'll see how this one looks. I think sometimes they can look like you're literally wearing a mask, like very cakey on the skin, but this one is meant to have kind of a medium to full coverage. It's meant to be quite buildable, so we'll see. I like to apply kind of a thin layer of foundation, but yeah, we'll see. Again, the packaging is very, very nice. I really like it. It's very similar to the one of the primer, but with the white lid. It does have a kind of shine finish to the lid. It's not completely matte, but yeah, I mean, again, very modern, very in line with like a young audience, but I think it looks really nice. You're meant to shake the foundation before you apply it, so I'm going to give that a good shake. I've taken 2 pumps of that and applied it on the back of my hand, and on first impressions it seems okay. This one is meant to have a yellow undertone, so I think that should work quite well with my skin, but I don't like them to be too yellow. I like them to be more on the kind of peachy side, because otherwise it just kind of intensifies my natural yellow undertone. So I'm just going to dot that all over my face, which is what I normally do. And then just spread it out with this Zoeva buffing brush and apply a thin layer all over my face. That seems to be a really good colour match, actually. I'm so impressed, given I bought it online and I just never think you can colour match yourself online. On first impressions, it seems like it's a matte finish, but it's not cakey at all. It doesn't kind of feel heavy, and it's not leaving my skin kind of dull. It is quite matte, but it does kind of still let your skin look like skin. It doesn't look like I'm wearing a mask over it. The coverage is quite nice. I've applied a very thin layer, but it's still kind of covered quite a lot. And it feels really comfortable on the skin. It doesn't feel heavy at all. It's blended out super easily using this buffer brush. I'm going to take a tiny bit more and just go into the areas where I need a little bit more coverage with a damp beauty blender, because this is how I normally apply foundation. The coverage is definitely buildable, and it doesn't kind of coke up even though I'm applying more product. It does say it doesn't kind of settle into fine lines or into pores, and I can definitely say my pores are really open around this area and it's not settling at all into the pores. It's leaving a really beautiful kind of matte but still very natural finish on the skin. If you are a similar skin shade to me, I would say this shade is a perfect match to my skin tone. I am normally a B40 on the YSL Touche Éclat foundation, which is the one I normally use. And I would say this is kind of a much better match to my skin shade, because that one's a little bit too light for me. So I normally blend it in with my BB cream so that it kind of matches my skin. Okay, so I really like the finish of that. I mean, I don't know how well it's picking up on camera, but it's not settled at all into my pores. My skin looks really natural, but at the same time, it's kind of matte, but not dull in any way. And the colour is really nice. I really think it matches beautifully. It's kind of got a yellow undertone, but it's not too yellow. It's a little more on the peachy side, so it kind of stays really true to my actual colour without enhancing the yellow undertone to my skin. I'm then going to go and apply a little bit of concealer underneath my eyes, and I'm going to do that off camera because I didn't actually purchase the concealer from the Fenty line. I have heard that concealer is quite kind of silicone-y and it was kind of dragging the foundation off, and that's what I'd heard from other reviews, so I decided not to purchase that. I did, however, take it as a contour stick, so I will try that out on camera, but I'm just going to apply a little bit of concealer and I'll be back. Okay, so I've just applied a little bit of concealer, my usual routine, first with peach concealer to counteract the darkness, then I've used a little bit of the Clé de Peau, and then I've gone into Illuminate with my NARS Radiant Creamy Concealer. I'm now going to contour using one of these contouring products. I've got the shade Mocha, it's the Matchstick, and these can be used as concealers or as contours depending on your skin shade. And the packaging is magnetic, so they're meant to kind of go all together and make like a honeycomb structure, which is really cool, but I only have one, so I couldn't test that out. On first impressions, it does bring a lot of product compared to like the Kim Kardashian one that's launched recently. It's a similar kind of idea, but this one's a little bit thicker. And yeah, the colour seems quite good. I hope it's not too warm because I don't like very warm contours. But I'm just going to apply this on the usual areas where I contour. So underneath my cheeks. And yeah, it seems like it's not too warm. I'm going to apply a little bit on my forehead. And a little bit down my jawline. And on my chin. It does feel kind of quite hard and silicone-y, like it doesn't blend in super easily. But we'll see how that blends with a brush. Yeah, on first impressions, I mean it blends okay, but it's not the easiest to blend. It does blend a bit better than I thought it would though. Because when I first applied it, it seemed like a really dry product, like not creamy at all, and I thought it would be really difficult to blend. Now that I'm blending it, it seems like it's a little bit warmer, and I would like the stick to be a little less broad because the lines are quite thick, and my face is really small, so I think there's less control because the bar is quite thick. But yeah, I mean, it's blending out okay. I'm using a Real Techniques face brush to blend it out. It's kind of a powder texture once it blends into the skin, so it's probably not going to budge, which is nice. I'm going to go in with my beauty blender now and just finish blending it out. Actually, that's blended out really, really nicely, and it's left a very natural finish, and it blended out really easily with the beauty blender. And it's kind of left a very, very natural finish. It doesn't look kind of cakey or very dramatic. It's blended in really nicely into my skin, but I wouldn't say it's a very dramatic contour. It's more like a natural contour. If you want something that's going to look kind of your skin but with a little bit of kind of shape to it, then this is great. But if you want a very dramatic contour, then this is probably not the right product, although you can probably build it up. But I quite like it like this because I like to build it up with powder as opposed to put loads of cream contour on my face. It hasn't really moved my foundation. It's moved a little bit of my concealer around the areas where I have blemishes, but then again, all cream contours really do. It's not the most creamy texture, like I said. It feels quite dry, but then it does blend quite easily, and it's left kind of a very nice finish. It's not sticky at all, so yeah, I'm actually quite impressed with that. We'll see how long it lasts throughout the day and if it kind of fades or separates, but for now, I really, really like it. I'm now going to go in with the powder. This is the setting powder, and it's a universal colour. It's called the Blotting Powder, and it comes with a little pad, although I never really use these. And it seems like it's completely white, although it does have like a slight tinge of rosy pink in there. We'll see how that translates. The packaging is quite bulky in my opinion, and it's got like a shiny white finish. It looks a bit like a purse. I don't really like it. I think this one looks quite cheap. I don't really like that kind of shiny finish to it, and yeah, I mean, it looks very plasticky. I'm not really liking this packaging, but we'll see how the powder fares. I'm just going to take it with this brush from Charlotte Tilbury, and I'm going to use it to powder underneath my eyes. And it's not as brightening as the Laura Mercier white loose powder, but I mean, it has taken down the natural kind of shine of my skin, and it doesn't look cakey at all. It's very, very thin, like it's kind of undetectable really. But it's not a brightening powder at all. It's just kind of a real mattifying powder. I think it would be good to kind of blot makeup during the day because it doesn't seem like it cakes up the skin at all, and it seems really, really finely milled. But yeah, I'm just going to take a bigger brush now and apply it on the rest of my face. I was just powdering my T-zone with the other brush. And yeah, it's a very, very natural powder. I like the finish, but I think that I would still kind of bake with like a powder like the Laura Mercier white powder, which really brightens underneath my skin. And that rosy tinge it has, I don't think it's kind of detectable on the skin. But yeah, it's a very, very natural powder. I'm now going to go in with this cream shadow from Chanel. I know this is not from the Rihanna line, but I just purchased this and I really wanted to try it out. And given she has no eyeshadows, I thought it would be a good opportunity. This one is in the color Undertone and it's their Ombre Premier. It's like a very natural skin color, but with a slight kind of taupey tinge to it. It looks really nice and I think it's like a cream to powder finish, so we'll see. I'm going to take this brush from Urban Decay, which is a flat eyeshadow brush, and I'm just going to take a little bit of that and just apply it all over my lid. And that's actually a really nice shade. It's like a skin color shade, but with a little bit of a sheen to it. Nothing too shiny, nothing too excessive, something very, very natural. Just to kind of make your eyes look like they're not completely naked. It gives them a bit of a glow. But it's kind of literally the same shade as my skin. It is a cream to powder finish, but it's very, very easy to blend out, and it doesn't kind of cake up or crease. Once it sets, it feels like it wouldn't budge at all. I really, really like this shade. It's got a really beautiful kind of sheen to it without kind of having glitter in it. It just has like a really nice sheen. I think it would look really natural on its own and very nice if you're kind of wearing a very light eye makeup look, but it could also look really great as a highlighter actually. I'm just going to take a little bit of that and apply it underneath my lower lash line as well. I really, really like that. I'd never actually used any of the cream eyeshadows from Chanel, even though I'd heard great things about them. But I think that is so nice and it was so easy to blend out, and I think it's a perfect like everyday shade. I'm just going to take a little bit of my Christian Dior cream eyeshadow in the Fusion Mono, and I think this one is in the color Meteor. And this is like a golden coppery shade with a bit of glitter running through it, and I'm just going to use this to kind of intensify my crease a little bit. I'm using the same brush. I'm just going to use this to intensify it and add a little bit of depth. Oh wow, these two shades together look really, really, really nice. And this is great like for the summer or when you're going to go out in like a humid weather so that it doesn't budge. Cream eyeshadows are great when you want them to kind of last all day long. I'm just going to take a little bit of that shadow and also apply it on my lower lash line. I'm now going to add a little bit of bronzer. I'm just using my normal Anastasia Havana bronzer. I'm just going to add that to my cheekbones. And this is just to top off the cream contour I used earlier. Just going to take that on my forehead just to warm up my skin a little bit. Down my nose and a little bit on my chin. And I'm then going to go in with my RODIAL contour powder just to contour on the areas where I previously applied the cream contour. And actually this contour is actually gliding on really nicely after applying that setting powder from Fenty. I'm just going to take that underneath my jawline as well. Just take it down my neck to make sure everything is kind of nice and blended in. Okay, I'm going to apply a little bit of blush, and I'm just going to use my Charlotte Tilbury in Ecstasy because Rihanna didn't have any blush shades. They were just like cream blushes on one of those sticks, and I don't really like cream blushes. I really, really hate how they look on my skin. And I like to apply blush kind of at the end because that's when I can judge best how much I need. And if it's a cream blush, obviously over powder, it just doesn't look great. So I prefer to use powder brushes. And to finish off, I'm going to go in with her highlighter. I know she had a huge range of cream highlighters, but again, I'm just not a huge fan of those stick highlighters. I think they kind of move your makeup and move all the concealer, so I decided to go for one of the powder ones. And I know everyone is raving about the gold one, but I think it was just too much. It's too intense. I think it's a bit too out there, and I don't like the fact that it's such a yellow gold shade. It just really doesn't go with my style. So I decided to go for this one, which is Mean Money and Hustler Baby. And I think these ones are a lot more subtle, so we'll see how they fare. The packaging for these is kind of similar to the setting powder, but in this honeycomb kind of design. Again, just very plasticky. I'm not a huge fan. And then inside it has these two shades which do look amazing. One is kind of a rose gold. It reminds me a little bit of Champagne Pop, which I absolutely love, and if you've seen my tutorials you'll know I've worn in pretty much every single one of them. And then this one seems like a very subtle kind of skin tone but with a bit of a sheen to it, so we'll see. I'm just going to apply the subtle one first, which is Mean Money. I'm going to take a fan brush like this and just apply it to the top of my cheeks. And this is very, very subtle. I don't think it's really picking much up with this, so I'm going to go in with a normal brush. I'm going to take this one by Charlotte Tilbury and see if I can actually see a bit more of payoff with that. Again, a very, very subtle highlight, but really nice for kind of daytime. It's definitely given me a bit of a glow, but it's just not something very dramatic. It's very, very subtle. It just seems like kind of your skin is naturally glowing. I'm going to take a little bit of that onto the high points of my face. Take a little bit down my nose, and then a little bit on my forehead and my chin. It's definitely given me a very subtle glow, but I'd say it's something very, very subtle. But it's really nice if you want to wear something in the daytime and you don't want to kind of look very glittery. I'm going to take the other shade, which is Hustler Baby, over the top and see. That one looks a lot more intense. Oh yeah. This one is definitely giving me a golden glow. It seems like it's pretty finely milled, and it does look kind of nicely blended into the skin, but it definitely gives you a glow. And I think it's definitely buildable as well. For me, I actually prefer the subtle one because I think this one looks a little bit too intense. But yeah, if you don't use a heavy hand, it does look very nice. But I think it's definitely a little bit too gold for me. It seems like it's pretty finely milled and it blends in quite nicely into the skin. But for me, it's definitely given me a very kind of golden tint to my skin. And I think maybe for nighttime it could look really good, but for daytime I definitely prefer the other one. It does look quite metallic-y on the skin actually. I think Champagne Pop looks more kind of glowing. This one does look quite metallic-y on the skin. Okay, and finally moving on to lips, I'm going to try this Charlotte Tilbury pencil, and this one is in the colour Foxy Brown. I'd never actually tried her lip pencils, so I thought it would be a good opportunity to try all my new stuff in this video. This one is like a really nice neutral brown apparently. I've just swatched it on my hand. But it's a very nice shade. It's like a very neutral brown, nothing too reddish, but also not too grey, so it does look quite nice on the lips. It's very, very soft and very, very blendable. It's really easy to kind of draw onto the lips. I really like this one. I think it'll go really nicely with this makeup look that I have on. I like that it's not too dark, even though it's brown, because a lot of brown lip liners can be very, very dark, and I think that doesn't suit me at all. Okay, and to finish everything off, I've got this lip gloss, which is the one from Fenty Beauty, and she only did one shade of lip gloss. It's meant to be flattering on all skin tones, and it's the Gloss Bomb. The packaging is really cool. It's kind of quite thick, again with that kind of honeycomb design. It's got like a rose gold top. I really like the packaging on this one. It reminds me a little bit of Charlotte Tilbury Seduction. It's got a similar kind of packaging and a similar colour, but we'll see. This one's a lot thicker. Wow, the doe foot applicator is massive. But the shade is really nice. I mean, my lips are not in the best condition, but it's a really kind of warm, sort of peachy brown kind of a, it's a warm nude, I would say, more on the brownie side than the pinky side, but it's like a warm nude. It's very, very glossy, but it feels quite balmy on the lips. It's a little bit sticky, which I'm not loving. And it does have a very, very kind of sweet candy smell to it. It does feel like you're just kind of literally applying candy onto your lips. It does become less and less sticky as it stays on your lips, but it does kind of still stick a little bit, which I don't love. But it feels quite balmy and nourishing, which is really nice. For me, the smell is too sweet. I mean, I'm not a huge fan, I have to say, but if you like kind of sweet smells, then you will definitely like this one. Okay, yeah, so the color is really nice on the gloss, but I mean, I really don't like the fact that it sticks to your lips. I have removed it from the inside so that it doesn't stick when I speak, but I mean, as it stays on your lips, it feels like it's more and more balmy every time. Like now I feel it sticks less than it did at the beginning. I think it kind of dries down, but the finish is not my favorite. I do really like the color though, and I think with this lip liner it looks absolutely amazing. So overall, I think the collection is really good. I think the fact that it's got so many shades of foundation and the foundation finish is actually quite nice. I really like that, and I think it would have lots of options for different skin tones. So the foundation for me is a definite winner. The lip gloss, I love the color, but I'm not a huge fan of the texture. The setting powder I think is really nice. It's definitely not cakey at all, and I think it's something that you could reapply during the day to mattify your skin and it wouldn't kind of build up. The highlighter for me is not my favorite. I mean, I think it's too gold. It has kind of gone down and kind of sunk into the skin. I think with a lot of her products, it does say that it takes a while to kind of sink in and adapt to your skin. The same with the foundation. It takes a while to kind of get the right shade. Because it does oxidize, and this one definitely has kind of sunk into my skin and it looks a lot more subtle now, but the subtle shade is too subtle and the golden shade, it's too gold. I wouldn't say it's kind of thick or leaves particles on your skin, but it's just kind of too gold for me. So the highlighter, I'm on the fence about it. The Chanel eyeshadow I absolutely love. The contour stick is good, but I have been trying out the Charlotte Tilbury one, which is the Hollywood contour, and I much prefer that. It's like a liquidy texture. If you want me to try it out on a video, do let me know in the comments below and I can do a video reviewing that. But yeah, so overall I think the collection is really good for foundation. The rest of the products are good, but they haven't kind of blown me out of the water. Oh, and yeah, and the primer I really like. I don't know how much of an impact it's had on the foundation because I'd never used the foundation before, but it did glide on very nicely, and the primer, it's the first primer I've used that doesn't kind of feel too velvety or too silicone-y. It just felt like a moisturizer, really comfortable on the skin, so I quite like that. So for me, that and the foundation were my favorite products. Okay guys, well that was everything from me. Those were my first impressions on the new Fenty Beauty line. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next one. Bye guys!